Okay, I cut the song short because I really want to talk to this beautiful woman that's coming on my show today. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in. As always, you can throw us some chats and comments in the chat box wherever you're watching. If it's Facebook, you can comment, and if it's YouTube, we can get your questions. But today's episode is I'm so excited. This is a long time coming. A friend of mine, Emm Gryner. She's also a dear mentor to me. And interestingly, the very first artist I saw in concert in my entire life. So, how cool is this? Full circle. Let me tell you a bit about Em. We're going to bring her on. She's done it all with voice, and she's going to have some amazing, no pressure, Em. She's going to have some amazing insight on this interconnected, super cool instrument we have because writing, speaking, singing, there's a connection, folks. It's all coming from one thing, right? One beautiful thing. So let's do it. A little bit about Em. Here we go. Emm Gryner is an award-winning singer, songwriter, actor, and best-selling author. Em sang and played keyboards in David Bowie's band and appears on numerous recordings, including his landmark 1999 SNL appearance, Bowie at the Beeb and Toy. Bowie's acclaimed Glastonbury 2000 documents her performance in front of more than 100,000. Can you believe it? 100,000 fans at Worthy Farm. With Trapper, she shared arena stages with Def Leppard, and she also has helped bring the first music video recorded in outer space to the world. Her book, The Healing Power of Singing, Raise Your Voice, Change Your Life, What Touring with David Bowie, Single Parenting, and Ditching the Music Business Taught Me in 25 Easy Steps. It's fabulous. It was released in 2021, became an Amazon bestseller. See, my voice wants to shut down because I'm so nervous, but it's cool. Just shake it off. It's fine. Detroit radio formed the soundtrack of Em's life and career, and her forthcoming record is a celebration of that music. It's fabulous. From Motown jazz and pop to Steely Dan, Fleetwood Mac, and the Doobie Brothers, Business and Pleasure is infused with the sunshine, soul, and stellar playing of the late 70s and early 80s. The album, which was released in April 2023, embodies a take on yacht rock. This is so cool. That sails deep into the 2020s and introduces the world to a bold new chapter. A powerful woman whose passion, presence, conviction, humor, and grace serves to unite the world in music, joy, and love once again. Like, come on, guys. Isn't she fabulous? Okay, Em, come on in. Come on in. I'm so tongue-tied. I'm so excited.
Hello,
Well,
I'm so excited. And can we talk about
hello.
your theme music? Did you guys create that?
We made it. Yes. Yeah, we made some yes, we made some theme music and
I
we've since
love it.
changed it. But thank you. Yes, people like it's like a news show, right? It feels
Yeah,
very it's
sets the
very
tone.
it's a news show. Well, welcome. I've been wanting to have you on for forever and we finally made it happen and I'm just delighted to see you and you're beautiful and your art is beautiful and thank you for coming on. And
Thank you for asking.
I want to start with the big question first because I just flipped through your amazing book last night again. I read it cover to cover when I first got it from Amazon. Like I was one of the first people, no joke, to order this book. And one of the things I find fabulous is the starting point of I was born a terrible singer. And this is a huge question to start off with, but
Mhm.
look at you now. So not a terrible singer, recording artist career. Um, Tell me about what was it inside you, even though you felt like a terrible singer, that you knew you needed to pursue this thing called music and singing? What tell me about that kind of feeling in the beginning, in the early days of M?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's such a pleasure to be on here with you, Jill.
Thank
I'm such a
you.
fan of your voice and
Oh,
your
thanks.
entire way of looking at the world. And now you're a mom. So just a lot has happened since we worked together. And it's so great to see you. I think that with singing, it all stemmed from songwriting. So
Mm,
I just, there was music in the house when I was younger and I learned to
mhm.
play piano, but then I was also writing little stories. So the
Oh,
two kind of met. And then I
mm.
I, I discovered, oh, you can actually write a song like the things I was hearing on the radio at that time in the 80s. Um,
Awesome, awesome with the high ponies and everything, right?
yeah,
Yes.
high ponies, hairspray. It was a good time for everyone. So yeah, I just really wanted to sing those songs, and that's where it
Yeah.
all began.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So the word, let's just unpack this because I know a lot of people out there feel like, "Oh, I'm a terrible singer and I wanna sing, but I shouldn't, la, 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 la."
Mhm.
So, how did you figure out that you actually had some kind of a spark with singing? Like, what was it? Or did you just work really damn hard to get to the other side of this hurdle of feeling like a terrible singer?
I think, to be honest, there was maybe 15% of me. When I
Yeah.
sang at home, I said to myself, "Oh, I kind of like what I'm hearing."
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But without some outside validation, it
Mhm.
was just me thinking like, "Oh, I kind of like this," right? So, we live in this really ultra sensitive society
Yeah.
where we kind of poo-poo external validation, but I think when it's the right kind, and this came from a girl in my gifted program. I was in the gifted program at school. This
Ooh.
girl, Adrienne Hurst. I'll never forget her. We're actually still in touch today.
Oh, cool.
But she was the one who heard me sing in a play. It was a horrible sort of display of bad acting and bad fashion. But she heard me sing, and afterwards she said you have a really really lovely voice. And I think I respected her so much. I think I was 13 and she was 15, but you
Oh, yeah.
still, you have those people you admire when you're younger, and if they
Mhm.
weigh in on something, it matters, right?
Mhm.
So in this particular case, I was fortunate enough to get good, like some good feedback, and that really
Yeah.
gave me the fuel to keep going.
Wow, wow, wow. It does matter. Like, we do have those inner pings and those inner nudges and knowings, but when it's reflected on the outside, it just kind of fuels that fire a little bit more, and we do need both. It's nice to think that we could be self-actualized and be like, "I don't care what the outside says," but it's just kinda like a little direction from the universe, like, "Hey,
Mhm.
it's being reflected back that you are correct in your nudge, in your inkling. This is cool. This is what we need you to do on this planet." So I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Your musical influences are super diverse, and I mean, you've done it all, and now you're throwing out yacht rock, which is like I can't wait to talk about that. That is so rad. It's so rad. But tell me about your earliest influences. I'm thinking I know who some of them are from reading your book, but I want to hear from you. Who is the biggest, like the top three, if you will, that fueled you into this career?
Well, that's a good question. I tend to rewrite history, so, I can pick people that I sort of think that I was influenced by, but like I
Yeah.
do remember really loving Peter Gabriel.
Oh,
And
yes.
I
Mhm,
think that it had to do with video, like seeing how creative
mhm,
he was with video. And that really
mhm.
grabbed my attention because it wasn't like, oh, here's someone who's hairspraying their hair up like to the sky. He was actually, that stop motion video for Sledgehammer came out
Yes.
when I was 10. So that really grabbed my attention. And then there was sort of like a rock phase. And I did really get into Def Leppard by the time I was 12. And again, it was the boldness to step outside the norm of rock with
Mhm.
hysteria that I think grabbed my attention. And it was like, this is not your normal, you know, this isn't danger, danger. This is like an
Yeah.
actual, like, what is going on with these like key changes and like stacked vocals. So those two were big. And then as I got older, I really gravitated to Tori Amos.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, just her ability to give a lot of what I was going through a voice and a really unique way of being lyrical, but also she had that classical thing that
Mhm.
I grew up with too. So it was sort of like,
Yeah.
oh man, like this is all you need. You just need a piano and a voice and a and something to say, and it turns into this beautiful like garden of melody. And like I don't even no, there's no one like Tori Amos, right? So
No. Yeah.
I think those three were really formative for me.
Oh, totally. And I see that with you because you're a beautiful piano player as well as a beautiful singer. So the Tori Amos thing makes perfect sense for me. And you also like all you need is a voice piano and a story. Like your album, Girl Versions. That's pretty much what you did. Like, yeah.
Yeah, Girl Versions was an album that I put out covering male songs,
Hmm.
and taking songs that people would not normally turn into ballads, and really exposing the lyrics and having cellos and all
Yeah.
of that. And it for sure was inspired by Tori Amos taking something like Smells Like Teen Spirit and
Oh, I've not
do
heard this. No,
what?
I've not heard this.
Oh,
I'm
you need
serious.
to. Yeah.
I'll write it down. Tori Amos. This is
Um,
happening.
she took Smells Like Teen Spirit and turned it into a Tori song, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
So, in a
Cool.
lot of ways, that's the songwriting at work as well. Whenever you cover
Yeah.
something and you take it
Yeah.
out of its realm of just like typical bar band cover, you're putting your songwriting kind of spirit in there. So, yeah, it was just really started by covering Pour Some Sugar on Me, that particular album, and then it kind of grew into, well, here's a collection of punk songs and like indie rock songs and things like that.
It was awesome, and the cover art was just fabulous. I remember seeing it in the store going, "Okay, I know I wanna buy her this one of hers, but look at this one."
I love that. I love that you remember seeing it in the store all those
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago.
All those years ago, before I had glasses. No, I'm just
This
kidding.
this sort of
Um,
position. No, the kids don't understand this, which is the
they
file
don't
inside the
understand.
CDs, right? I guess
Yes.
maybe with vinyl. Yeah.
Oh, and there was only in the CD shop that I was in, there's only ever, like, one copy of everything, so you, like,
Mhm.
ran there at 9 AM when it opened.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Oh, and
nothing
hopefully
wrong
you
with the
didn't.
kids today. Nothing.
Right? Right? Nothing wrong with the kids. You can get everything lickety split. They're so lucky. So lucky. You just opened the door to something I want to talk about when I talk about Def Leppard and all this good stuff because raise your voice, change your life. I mean, you're living proof that that's true, right? This inkling that you had as a child and you've done it all, including working with Def Leppard and David Bowie. Come on, right?
Mhm.
All the way up there. Plus, you're a successful artist in your own music. So we're going to get to a little bit more about what that means to raise your voice and change your life in just a moment. But I want to give everybody the gems of like working with Def Leppard and David Bowie. Like, I know those are huge conversations, but can you tell us a little bit about what that meant on your journey and how that impacted where you're going to go next? Like, how is that working for you? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big one.
Well, it worked out really well. I
Yeah.
think the thing with those two situations, and I have played with a lot of other people as well, but those are sort of the notable ones. I didn't plan to join their bands. And that's something that people have to remember that, I think musicians and vocalists and artists, we think, oh, she worked so hard to get to that
Mm-hmm.
point. There's a whole bunch of luck involved, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes about increasing your luck. So with Bowie, I was in New York, kind of at the right time when they were looking for someone. And again, I didn't really plan to be a backing vocalist, but I said yes to that because I'd just been let go
Mm-hmm.
from my label at that point, and I was sort of like pinging around, like I'm not sure like what to do next.
Yeah.
Um, and I was really happy to actually have that clear schedule that I could say yes,
Mm-hmm.
because the next week I was on Saturday Night Live singing his biggest songs. So
What?
yeah, it was really, as a 24-year-old, incredible, from one tragedy. I was just at this Bowie convention, and one of the speakers said, you could be living your life in the toilet and suddenly you're in the stars.
Yes.
So, from a place of real like tragedy, like, oh, I worked I
Yeah.
dreamed of having a record deal and then it's taken away, and then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly another door opens. And I think if you're open to it, that stuff can happen all the time through life.
Mhm, mhm. That's so important to bring that up because we can think, "Oh, we work towards this record deal and it's gone and that's the end and we need to pick something else because we've failed." And that's not it because you've just pointed out there's beautiful prose within the shit. Like there
Yeah.
are diamonds within the shit. If you want to see that, you don't even need to see that it's shit.
Yeah.
If you just look for those diamonds and go, "Okay, but how could this serve me? How can this be helpful?" If you employ that hindsight now in the moment, that's a big one for me in my journey. I've been trying to do that. You get stuck, but I mean the tenacity on you, my girl, because that's a hard moment, losing that record deal. But now looking back, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Was it a good thing?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we always measure things where we're at, right? So
Hmm.
21 years old, losing a worldwide record deal, them taking my picture down from the wall at one Worldwide Plaza or whatever it was. Um, that to me,
Mhm,
there's no zooming out of that, right? Like
mhm,
you're
mhm.
just like, well, I failed and what do I
Yeah.
do next? Or how do I pick up the pieces in a way
Mhm,
where I still look good, right? But
mhm.
now, like it takes a lifetime to kind of solidify your values and they change through life, right? So
Mhm.
you end up kind of in a place where you generally feel like these values are the ones that mean something to me after a certain amount of time.
Mhm.
And I think partnering with a big corporation like that just would never have worked for me. Like
Yeah.
even with
Yeah.
this new album, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, where I do have record deals, but they're with small indie labels, people that I can like get on Zoom with and, or people that I can hang out with and actually have a conversation with.
Yeah.
That works so much better for me than a large company that I have a hard time sort of wrapping my arms around or kind
Mhm.
of being a product for, right? That doesn't really
Mhm.
align with me anymore. So
No.
it would have burnt out like one way or another, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, at the time, tragic, but in hindsight, yeah, it's like, how do you see
Yeah.
the, how do you zoom out in the moment? I think that's the big challenge.
Oh, that's so good. You know what I appreciate most about you is you're willing to talk about things like this, right? And use it as teaching moments, especially in your book and in our conversations, because there's something great waiting for you on the other side. We've just talked about this on the other side of those tragedies. There's something wonderful, and like you said, being part of a cog in a system is not M. M
Mhm,
needs to flourish and change and grow with her music and change it how your artistry needs to develop. You need to be able to do that rather than making a hit single and being a product and da 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 da. For
mhm,
some people that works, but I
mhm,
understand for you that it wasn't a match, and so that's very cool that you can see that.
mhm.
Um, your beautiful book, like, first of all, writing a book, OMG. Can you tell me about that process and how the inkling of there's a book in me now. I need to do this. And
Mhm.
you're a single mama at the same time. So like, holy Moses, the dedication. Tell me about the inkling for the book and then how it looked for you. Like when did you write it? My gosh.
I started it 2018, I believe. It was right after I saw Glastonbury. That concert came out on Parlophone Records. They released
Mhm.
a DVD. Do you remember those?
I do. I have lots of them in a bucket.
I bet. They're kind of fun still. And it came out on vinyl and CD.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember seeing the concert and just, it was pretty life changing because seeing it from the really horrible place that I was at was just like a wake up call. I remember just feeling so down about my life at this point, probably having a lot to drink every day, very heartbroken that my marriage had ended and my kids were so young. And
Mhm.
I mean, how do you navigate all that? And then suddenly it's like, hey, come look at yourself as a 25-year-old on stage with one of the greatest artists of all time, and then like talk about it and whatever. And
Yeah, yeah.
they say what triggers you is a clue that there's an opportunity there.
Ooh, I like
And
that.
I felt very like grumbly about watching it back. I remember I was just like, "Ah, I guess we'll watch it." It's like, and
Mm.
it's a clue, right? You just pay attention to what you're saying, and it's like, why are you grumbling about watching yourself sing with David Bowie,
Right,
right?
right.
And what it did was it just really opened my eyes to the fact that I had this sort of vibrant energy and I had my voice and I was singing on a big stage like I always wanted, but I had lost the gratitude for it. It was sort of like
Mm.
kind of feeling a subconscious, what is it all for, an unconscious kind of
Mhm.
taking it for granted. And it really moved me into thinking about voice. And I know you are the perfect person to talk to about this. Um, I just started to see how my voice had really helped me through my life, you know, and the stronger I made it, the more I worked on it, it seemed like everything around me kind of improved.
Yeah.
And I just sort of started diving into that and writing. At first, it was kind of going to be like a how to sing book, but then I realized I have a lot of stories. So, yeah, I just started writing. And I don't know, like, it's a lot of different books in one, and that might be unusual for people, but a lot of people have really liked that sort of here's some tips and here's what happened on the road and here's some more personal stuff. And I think the
Yeah.
more personal we can be, the better.
I think for me that format really just resonated because often we can make singing very dry and very right versus wrong and black and white.
Mhm,
And this was like the gray.
mhm,
Here's options. Here's what I did, but you need to try what's working for you.
mhm.
I appreciated that so much. And it was nice to, you know, just okay, great. Now I just have to read for a bit. I don't have to do exercises. And oh, now I'm going to do an exercise, right? So just breaking it up into bite-sized chunks for folks. I think that's really, really cool. It's an awesome book. And how
Thank
you
you.
connected singing technique with like the story is just genius.
Oh,
I'm not
thanks.
meaning that as a kiss ass. I really think it's powerful. It packs a real good punch.
Thank you.
So this book is all about raising your voice, changing your life, and you said that you could see that. And one of the things on the show that I like to talk to folks about is voice of all facets, right? So we've got our speaking, singing, and writing voice. I've since as the show went on went, holy shit, that's connected too.
Mm,
So I wonder with this experience with writing a book, and then I mean, obviously you write beautiful music and you sing beautiful music, and you've been a speaker, motivational speaker with your book, and you've also done radio. Do you see the interconnectedness of it? And if so, I imagine if so, how can you express that to folks? What are you seeing? What when you work one, do others kind of flourish? Do we have a door open to others to experience others if one's super realized? What does that look like for you?
that's a really good question. I think that it all kind of comes down to breath, you know?
Mm.
Um, it
Okay.
comes down to, I remember being on the radio, filling in for the afternoon show on CBC, and my boss just saying, speak like you sing, and I was just like, what do you mean? This is live. This is
Oh.
live radio, and I don't even know. I can't even catch my breath. But it's about, I think, settling the nervous system to a place
Mm.
where you can be yourself, right?
Mhm.
So even if it is pen to paper, that voice, you know, it's only really worth reading or writing if you've gone to that place where you're being yourself, right? No one needs to read a copycat kind of thing of
Mhm.
anything. So I think breath and authenticity are linked. And if you're able to kind of really know yourself and really know how to calm yourself, because life is crazy, right?
So it is.
And
Yeah.
it's getting crazier, and then we have all the tools to just make it more insane at our disposal if we go that way. So I think coming back to nature, coming back to breath, the thing that's always there,
Mhm.
is the common thread for me anyway.
Mm, that's so important. You hit on a really big one. I know you teach singing as well, and a lot of questions we get. The number one question is, "Am I a good singer? Like, am I
Mhm,
wasting your time? Is this possible for me? What's going on?"
mhm,
And you just said, you're not trying to be like anybody else. We don't need copycats, right? And
mhm,
what's so cool is you've just reminded folks like we came out into this world when we're born, we come out knowing how to do voice, right? It's
mhm,
very inherent there. So this is a relearning of sorts, and everybody can relearn if they've forgotten or been taught these other habits that block, right?
mhm.
But I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about you're not trying to be a copycat. So how that would help folks in the recording booth, for example. I wonder if maybe
Mm.
that's a big block, and if you can speak to how one might get around that block and actually hit on that authentic, breath centered voice that's only unique to them.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being inspired by other people,
Hmm.
right? Like everyone has been, and everyone, in their most honest moments, people will just say, "Hey, the Beatles were listening to the Birds and Bowie was listening to Mark Bolan." And, you
Yeah.
know, that's right. We let ourselves be inspired by other people.
Mhm.
But I think it's when there's a desire to impress that's when it starts to get
Mm.
kind of muddy. And um, I think a little bit of kind of self-examination around, what are you doing it for is sort of worth
Ooh,
looking at. And it's
yeah.
really hard right now when social media is sort of running the show and running our morale and all of that. It's
Mhm.
hard to kind of get back to those people who are like, can say the people who could say, "Oh, I'm doing this whether I get paid or not," right?
Right.
Or like,
Right.
I'm doing this because I can't not do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think connecting with that spirit a little bit will help someone who maybe goes into the recording studio and
Mhm.
doesn't have that confidence or that direction. Just what is it? What are you doing? Like
Yeah.
it's like, what are
What
you
the hell are we
doing it?
here for?
What are you doing it for? And maybe you do want to be, not everyone's like a rebellious artist. I get it. Um,
Mhm.
but when people wonder, like, why isn't everything clicking for me and it's sustainable for me? Or why, you know, am I not feeling good about this 20-month tour or whatever? You just have to ask yourself, like, why are you really doing it? And what is good enough for you as an artist?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then, I mean, I could go on and on about the recording
I
studio, but
I know the recording, the beast that is the recording studio, the beautiful beast.
wrestle it to the ground. Yeah.
Oh man, oh man, you hit on a big one. Values. That is a big conversation, and I'm curious, what came first, the book or the coaching? Because you are a life coach, and I know you became certified maybe near the end of writing your book, or maybe during its release. It was somewhere in there.
Mhm.
So, what? How did that work for you? That next chapter of learning, hey, you know what? I need to give back to the industry in a different way, and it's all centered around this conversation around values. So
Mhm.
that's a big question, but I'd love to in there as well hear your values and what are they?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I mean,
Yeah.
honesty is a big one for me. I think
Hmm.
it's sort of been something I'm navigating through life because, what was true 5-year-old is not true to me as a 45-year-old or as a 35-year-old, right? So we change
Hmm.
through our lives. Um, I really love, presenting a great show. So, beauty and excellence and that sort of stuff too. So, it's hard in music because your values, you could wake up and say, I love, these are the values that are important to me. And some of them can actually be in competition with each other. And that's
Ooh.
sort of like a next level conversation. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of musicians, are unclear. Maybe I'll just speak for myself. I was very unclear about, uh, what mattered to me in the process. And I think
Mm.
that giving back, as you must know, as someone who gives back so much, how it just takes you out of your ego, I guess, a little bit,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
you can see more clearly or see what people are needing.
Yeah.
I think that's really important because as a pop artist, the tendency is to just make it all about you.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. The giving back. Yeah. So the life coaching piece, and was it fueled by this values conversation you had with yourself, or what prompted you to get into this? This is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was just really looking to learn. I feel like I'm a truth seeker, and
Mhm.
the program that I looked into really appealed to me. It was like a fast track program, but it was also really intensive where there was a lot of practicing coaching. I had already sort of been vocal coaching and
Mhm.
mentoring, but I just wanted to become certified. But in the process of being certified, I actually learned some skills that I will carry with me always.
I imagine.
So, a lot of active listening, and a lot of just really, uh, when you listen properly, so listening to understand and not respond, right? There's
The
so
big
many
one.
people who like listen and they're like, I'll tell you what I think right away. And that's not really helpful for someone, right?
Yeah.
Especially women, we need to be heard and we need to be able to use our voices. And
Yeah.
so some of my best coaching partnerships have been with women um, who just are sort of almost there, but just need to break through, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Um, so it sort of came as a result of just wanting to make it more official as a coach and also just a
Mhm.
thirst for learning like how to help people properly.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I know for me, I mean, my husband and I worked with you, and you were just a bright light of fabulousness. But the number one thing that I noticed when we worked with you is how many messages my husband and I had got from people in our lives that are not in the industry that we took forward as truth about being in music.
Yeah.
And the fabulous thing about working with you or someone like you that's been there, done that, is you're getting actual factual information.
Mm,
So when your, aunt tells you it's hard to make it in the music industry, and you don't realize that you might be carrying that along with you, and your
yeah.
aunt's never done it. So it's
Yes.
very powerful, someone that's been there, done that, to take you to that next level. And I encourage folks to reach out to someone like you if they're interested in doing that because you've done it, right?
Thank
So
you.
that's the
That's
power.
very, very kind.
Well, yeah, my pleasure.
I will say though that you and Sean really did the work, right?
Oh,
So you can hire the
thank you.
coach, but if you, yeah, like look at you now, like this is incredible that you're using your voice this way, and amidst all the other
Um,
ways that you use your voice, and you're being
mhm,
creative, and you have really young children. That's
mhm.
such an achievement. Um,
Thank you.
but I think that there's a reason why people say don't clean your house while your family is like watching you take the bags out because they'll just be like, "Oh no, I why are you throwing that away?" And what can I have that or whatever? And it's just like, no, 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 I'm already ready to get rid of it. And it's just because that's the attachment, right, of family, and they don't
Yeah,
understand a
yeah,
third party who's removed from the situation can
yeah,
be more objective.
yeah, yeah. That's really, really powerful, is to have a coach while you are working towards your music goals, for example, or while you're teaching. It's really important to have that other perspective and be a learner at the same time. At least I find.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you would agree, with while you're teaching, it's cool to at least have a coach or a teacher that's helping you grow while you're helping others grow. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. This year I worked with, well, there's two coaches that I'm working with as I coach other people. And
Awesome.
I think it's just when you're a lifelong learner, you always want to know more. And then it's sort of like, the hairstylist who's like just come back from the course and like, oh, thank God you went to some modern course because now you know how to do the thing or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you just want to keep upgrading your skills all the time.
Yeah.
Um, based on what you need. I mean, there's also the wellness trap that you don't want to go down of just like, oh, I'm always, something's always wrong, so I got to make it better. I think
Yeah.
there's just a balance. And, for me this year, there's a wonderful coach I'm working with named Louise Mahler, who's Australian, and she's a body language coach. And it
Ooh.
was one of those pieces of performance that, I was always curious about, like how does she know so much about all these people in the media? How can she read Trump the way she does? And
Wow.
yeah, so it's really interesting just to follow what you're curious about, whether it's a coach or even just like go to the art gallery or go to a concert or something or take a get a degree or something.
Well, I agree with that because you never know how it's actually connected to what the thing is you're actually pursuing. It might seem like you're like, "What? I wanna learn about this. This is like a friggin' 90-degree turn this way, and it's a distraction."
Hmm.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not, and maybe it's actually pointing you back. I know for me, when I started this show, I was like, "Oh, this is just another distraction from working on the album, blah, 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 blah." No, it's actually pointed me back. Every single episode, I'm like, "Right, right. Okay, back this way. It's cool. It's part of it. Let's keep
That's
going."
so interesting. And yeah,
Right?
I mean, it's obvious, you threw that at the wall and it stuck, right? And I
Yep.
think it's that analogy is kind of overused, but like you will know when it's working for you. Like even me seeing you do this
Yeah.
is just so inspiring to me because it's so natural for you, and
Mhm.
you've got that wonderful energy. Um and I think, yeah, it's like giving yourself the room to try different things. And as we get older, we talk ourselves out of it, but hopefully that's changing a bit. I mean, I think I see some
Mhm.
people trying new things. And I mean, COVID maybe helped with that a little bit, where
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like people take up a new hobby because there's nothing else to do.
What
So,
the hell else to do? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. I took up some hobbies and a little too much red wine, but,
Well, you
it is
learn
what it is.
something. You learn something.
Healthy balance on the other side. We're good. We're good. I just picked up a book on fasting, so we're back on track.
Perfect. I see that Sean has asked a question.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that you are producing my show. You are fucking phenomenal. Let's put it on the thing.
Okay.
Thanks, Sean. What I love most about you is your humility in your musicianship. Hell yeah. Being such a great vocalist, amazing pianist, and stellar bass player. Fuck yeah.
In
That's
caps.
that's there
Okay.
too. What drew you to bass and who were your influences? Oh, way to go, hun. That's a good question.
Good question. Hi,
He's dadding
Sean.
right now. I don't know how the
Dad
hell
of
he's
the
found
year.
time.
That's amazing. There's always time to send a text when you're dadding. Um, Bass. Yeah, I mean, my brother, I have two brothers. One played guitar when we were growing up, and the other one played synthesizers. He had like
Oh, yes.
the prog rock two keyboards. So I kind of just took bass up because there was nothing left.
Mm,
Like drums, we weren't really the household for that to have drums. So I thought,
right.
oh, maybe I'll learn bass. And then the minute I got it, we were on a family trip to Disneyland in a RV, and I spent all my money before Disneyland at this music store and got this red bass. It was like $129, and it had like a really pointy headstock. It was really shiny red. And
Ooh.
I just loved the way it felt really powerful. Like I think that women are really powerful, and it felt like it kind of matched this discovery of like being 14 and like, I can
Mhm.
do something in the band too. And then it I've always just loved it so much. So recently I've tried to incorporate it more into my performance.
Oh, good. What a good question, because I would have overlooked that because I'm obsessed with your voice.
I
So
didn't really know who my influences were. So I mean, thank you, by the way, Jill.
yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's more about groove. It's not less about like players, but I grew up listening
Mm.
to so many like different bass players, from like Jack Bruce to Stuart Ham, and I'm like a super big bass nerd, and people don't know that about me, but um Tony Levin is just like,
Oh, the Finger Buddies. I love
yeah,
Tony
just
Levin.
like tuning down and all that. I love it. So
And he was in Gabriel's band, right? Because I have
he's
so many
still
concert
there.
DVDs. He's still there.
He's on the road with them now. Yeah.
What? Oh, I have one. I can't remember what it's called, but I've watched it a million times. Is it Secret World? I don't know.
Oh yeah. Is it
I don't know.
the Us tour?
It's
Maybe? Yeah.
so good. It's so
Okay.
good. Peter's wearing a leather vest and a white t-shirt. It's pretty fabulous.
Yeah.
It's like Bruce Springsteen kind of outfit.
And
Um,
on that note, I just want to
yeah.
say during the pandemic, I wrote a song. It was sort of the gateway to the Yacht Rock album. I wrote a song called "If I Can Find True Love, I Can Find Michael McDonald." And it was all about me trying to find Michael
What?
McDonald, yeah, to sing with me and whatever. Um, and I asked Tony Levin to play on it because he had been doing some Bowie tribute things online, and
What?
I'm just like, well, we're all at home. Why
Frick
not?
yeah.
So he played on this song of mine like a basically a demo,
Oh my
and
God.
was so generous, like with his time, and hardly charged me anything, and just like, wow, you're Tony Levin and this is awesome. It was sort of a lesson of just like, people are actually nice.
There are some great people everywhere, and it's not always as hard as you think to get to that person that, it's not as hard as you might think. It's just an
Yeah.
email usually.
Yeah,
right?
and life is so different, so that's what I wanna say to people who are kind of curious about, like, networking or where should I live and how do I get started? It's, like, really easy right now, like,
Really
people will
easy.
jump on a Zoom with you if you ask nicely,
Yeah.
if there's something you wanna learn, people are more than happy to share information,
Mhm.
and, you know, it's just not I think people are different after the pandemic and there's just something more open. I
Yeah.
like to think about people with their time and their energy and their space, you know?
Yeah, we were starved of connection for 3 years, so I
Mhm.
think people are really eager to I think we all also have a really good sense of, "Okay, let's not overload the schedule again, like before the
Yeah,
pandemic, but
yep.
let's" connection is maybe a value that at least for me, it's a value that I, really recognized after not having too much connection for 3 years, so
Yeah, totally.
right? Tell where can I hear this Michael McDonald song?
I don't know what I should do with it. I'm gonna
I'm
have to
obsessed with
listen to it
this.
again. I love to listen to it. But, the
Oh,
whole point of it was to try to get to Michael McDonald, and that song that I just mentioned led me to my producer who produced the new record and inspired so many new songs that don't have the name Michael McDonald in them.
well, I will point out that you have found true love, so Michael McDonald is just around the corner probably.
We did kind of find him. So we did kind of. Yeah, I covered Real Love, the Doobie Brothers song on my new album,
Oh,
and I was able to get it to him, and he did say that he thought it was beautiful. So
girl.
it's not a
It
duet, but it's still nice.
it's beautiful, and maybe one day it will be a pared down piano duet version,
One
right? Because you
one
just
can
did one
only
of those.
one can only hope.
Tell me about yacht rock because I'm obsessed with these words. I've never heard them before you. Is this a thing? Or did you craft this?
No, I didn't craft it. It's a whole world. Sort of, I think it all centers around, well, it maybe began with Christopher Cross's Sailing, which is a little bit before your time, a
I
little bit
know that.
before your time.
NSYNC covered it, so it's
Okay.
okay.
Did they really? I have to.
Sailing. Yes, they did.
Wow, I gotta go
Yes.
listen to that right when
Do
we're
it.
done. And it's sort of a way to describe that like West Coast sound, the Doobie
Yeah,
Brothers.
yeah.
But you know what? It's not just Doobies. It's like you know, uh, um, summer breeze makes me feel bad, like
Yes!
all
I
that,
love that
and
song.
baby come back, like all of that. I've never described it by singing, but there you go.
I enjoyed it.
And then there's whole juries where there's just like, is that song Yacht or not? Like, is Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty Yacht? Oh, it's only 29% Yacht because it has this one like Toto. It gets a little nerdy, which,
What?
but at the bottom line with it all is like it's feel good music, right?
Yes.
Um, the
Yeah.
Pina Colada song or Margaritaville, all that.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
and in the pandemic, that was really the only music that I wanted to listen to.
Really?
And that's what spawned us trying to write yacht rock. Like, we tried to write a song like Ride Like the Wind, try to write a song like Do It Again by Steely Dan. And there's that copycat thing that I talked about where, we're taking what we love about something and making it
Mhm,
our own. We're not lifting necessarily.
mhm,
Um, and then I just felt really a lot of conviction around having people play on it who were there, right? So,
mm,
the older you were, the better almost for recording this kind of music because I didn't want it to be ironic. I
yeah,
didn't want it to be like, oh, here's a cute, kitschy kind of song. I wanted it to be like, nope, they're
serious.
playing sax like it's 1982, right? So
Rock and
that's
roll.
where it all came from.
I love it. Do you have a favorite song on the album?
I do. I really like a song called The Chance.
Okay, The Chance.
Mm. That's the song sort of fashioned after Ride Like the Wind, but I think it's honestly the most M song on the album. I spent a lot of time like parked in front of the TV as a kid watching like, 80s cop shows and stuff like that. So I feel like it's a soundtrack for something like that.
I love that. We're gonna detour back to the bass conversation. There was a follow-up that I missed. Any plans
Oh.
for a bass-oriented album?
Oh god.
That's a
Wow.
cool question.
You know what? Not yet. I just played an event in Toronto though called Bass Fest, where it was
Ooh.
me and about like 8 other incredible bass players. And that was really, really fun. So
Mhm.
I mean, there was, I was joking to a friend of mine that he'd have to go off and listen to like Vince Neil on treble after, just like to to just get some treble back in his life. But um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was really lucky on the last album to have a guy named Larry Paxton play bass on the record. He's the house bass player for the Grand Ole Opry, and just like, oh, so incredible.
Wow.
Um, and I don't think I can do it as well as he can. So until I can, we'll just see. We'll
Excellent.
see what happens.
Excellent. Um, I hope listeners watching understand that voice is multifaceted, right? You have a bass voice, you have a piano voice, you have a singing voice, you have a writing voice, you have a speaking voice, you have a public speaker voice. We have our day-to-day voice. It's super neat, and the colors with which we can paint are many,
Hmm.
just many, right? Um,
Hang on a sec. Speaking of voice,
yeah.
I hear my daughter and she's, Aoife,
Oh.
I really love you, but I'm still on the podcast. Okay.
We love you.
I love you, but dot dot dot.
Well, we're almost done. We have like 5 more minutes. Um, I wanna hit face yoga because I think it's fucking fabulous that you're doing this,
Hmm.
and I wanna know what turned you on to face yoga and how the benefits. I imagine you would get vocal benefits or confidence benefits from face yoga, but you'll tell me. So,
Sure.
face yoga.
So hang on a sec. Aoife, can you go upstairs, please, my love? Pardon? I'm recording a podcast, a vodcast.
It will be a pod later. That's
I'm
helpful.
almost done though, so anywho. Um,
Hey, that's real life. You're momming, so
yeah,
kudos.
and so are you, but you got your situation under control. Um, Face yoga came about as an alternative to Botox and invasive techniques. I think you get to a
Nice.
certain age and everyone starts doing it all around you. No disrespect to anyone who decides that they want to. But for me, it was not something that I wanted to kind of explore.
Mhm.
So I researched alternatives, and it also came as a result of just watching some video footage back, and I'm just like, oh, you know what, you always want to follow whatever you're curious about, and I would just wondered if there was another way to kind of take care of your face this way, and I discovered face yoga and became a certified teacher. It really does help with like your whole hygiene of your upper body. um,
Wow, okay. Yep.
and I think as you become older, especially as a singer, you can see yourself back. You can see that kind of stiff, sort of like, oh gosh, but
Oh my gosh.
yoga and face yoga, it really helps with your entire instrument.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's a great addition to life, and I sort of throw it into my bag of all the things that I do. And I love the community. It's a great community of people practicing.
that's awesome. So what inspired you like, found face yoga and then you wanted to get certified. What was that turning point that was like, "Holy God, this is fabulous." What was it? What did you notice from it?
I think for me, it's more about the ideas behind it,
Yeah.
that it is inexpensive. It doesn't cost women anything.
Mhm.
It is natural. It's sort of built on your natural beauty and using nature. So you don't actually need anything to
Wow.
practice.
Right.
So I think it's sort of a no-brainer in terms of an alternative that makes you feel like like you could continue with it without going broke or having a dangerous procedure, or you know
Right. Right.
fueling an industry that is likely male driven. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think those things really inspired me to look into certification and the fact that there weren't any classes, right?
Wow.
When there isn't something available, there are lots of things online, but there weren't regular classes. So
Yeah.
I figured, well, it doesn't exist. I'll just offer them.
See, you're just innovative. I love you.
Thank you.
You're there and you're doing it and you're willing. And I don't know where the hell you find all the time to do all these things, but it's fabulous to me to watch you.
Aw, thanks.
Ever inspiring, ever inspiring. And it's very cool. I tried it and self-care it fits in that bubble and we talk a lot about and get M's fabulous book because she talks a lot about self-care and voice and the connection because interconnected. You can't escape the state of your body. Your voice is inside there. So it
Yeah.
is what it is. And face yoga, I imagine, um, I can just see that for confidence purposes, especially if you're jumping on stage,
Hmm.
that's a big one because we can all feel very tired, especially me right now,
Yeah.
and then not confident about what we look like. So this might be that extra little pick me up. So,
Yeah, I noticed that I took a little bit of time off on tour from doing it, and I really missed it. And
oh,
I mean, it's just science. It's like you have these
right,
muscles. You've got 57 muscles in your face, and we
right.
largely ignore them.
Yeah,
Like unless
right.
we're overusing them or kind of using them in a negative way. So there
Hmm.
is a way to use them positively,
Yeah.
and studies are starting to be done of the benefits of doing facial exercises. And it might sound wacky to people at first, but it can become just a part of your day if you let it be, right? Just like doing your vocal warm-ups or brushing
Right.
your teeth or whatever.
Right. And for a lot of us, I'm gonna say female centered, I do the moisture. My husband doesn't do the moisture on his face, but you're already touching your face.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
just spend a few more minutes doing it, right?
Yeah.
And look
I mean,
around.
the other thing it does is, we are very tied to our phones. And I
Mhm.
notice from a lot of women, and there are some men that practice with me, but I kind of feel like I'm in an army with my women
Mhm.
buddies. That it's great to put the phone down for 20 minutes, right, and do
Yeah.
something else with your hands.
Yeah.
It's almost like a really loving, kind of self-affirming
Yeah.
act.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of like wonderful organic serums you can use. You don't have to use something like that, but yeah, I mean, I'm totally behind it. So I'm giving a free class actually coming up soon, but also, oh, I don't want to date stamp this. When is this coming out?
Oh, this one's out, like, right now on
Oh, right
VOD,
now. Yeah, yeah.
so it's a podcast we can just delete the piece that if it's dated, it's fine, and
Okay.
I
Well,
should
I
it's
made
not
more editing work
yeah,
for you.
yeah, and it's not just for females. I was speaking because you had a majority of females in your class, but this is for everybody, correct?
Mhm.
Face yoga for anybody,
Yeah, it
right?
really is. It
However
really
you
is. Yeah.
identify,
Yep.
go for it. Cool.
Absolutely.
So when's your class, Em? Because we will plug that right now.
It's on Friday, June
Cool.
30th. It's a little bit early for the Pacific time folks, but 7 a.m. for you, 10 a.m. for Eastern time. But and then I also have my library of videos that I'm always updating, and people can it's really cheap. It's $40 a month, and
Awesome.
yeah, it's just I really wanted to make it affordable and, just to feel like you've got someone in your corner as you're like going through this wacky process of aging with the social media light on you all the time.
Right?
Mhm,
Fabulous. It's needed out there.
mhm.
People can find you on your website, mgryner.com, and you can get the book and, the music there as well, correct? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. What's next for you? Just really quickly, what can we expect next from M? I know you're so busy, but, like, maybe there's things coming down that we wanna know about.
Yeah, well, a few things. I'm booking some more shows for the fall.
Mhm.
I'm going to Nashville to perform my jazz album in September, which I'm really excited about
Wow.
because my jazz album did not get the chance to really be toured widely. So
Right. It was
I get to,
COVID, right? Right in the
yeah,
middle of COVID.
so
Yeah.
I get to go down to an amazing jazz club down there and do that. Um, and yeah, just continuing with coaching and writing a new record and plug in the new record. There'll be more singles coming out, and
Can't
yeah,
wait.
there's lots going on.
Awesome. Well, all the best to you in everything you do. I'm always watching in a
Thank
not creepy way.
Well, same to you, and thank you. Congratulations on all the things you're doing, and
Oh,
um, you know, I would love to hear more about how motherhood's going and all of your music too.
well, thank you. We will connect because we always do. And until then, I know you have to take your daughter somewhere, so I will let you go. And thank you so much for being on today. That was so awesome.
Oh, thank you, Jill. Talk to you soon.
Sounds good, love. Bye, Em. I miss you already. Oh, oh, she's so fabulous. We'll need a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, why not? She's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful lady. Bye, Em. Um, if you liked what you heard today or didn't, you can let me know. Either way. I'm here and we love doing these shows and you can see my husband's kind of a producer in the wings, so the we makes sense, and my family, my kiddos are here too, and we make it happen. But voice is what we're talking about in all facets. So today was recording artist, Juno nominated recording artist Emm Gryner, who also is, you heard her, she does everything. She does everything, but sometimes this journey of voice encompasses more things than we initially thought. So if you're young and you're, singing into the hairbrush to Alanis Morissette, for example, I don't know where I got that idea from, but hypothetically, just kidding, you may not understand that your journey includes a vodcast and a podcast and a book and teaching and meeting wonderful people like M. And I don't know that I ever planned all of that for to happen, but it did. And what it's doing is making that rock star dream even more rich and fabulous. So embrace the now. See if you can use hindsight to flesh out how this incredible journey is connecting and all the pieces and how they work together, and being okay to let go of the ones that aren't working, right? Like Em said, if you throw it at the wall and it sticks, great. But if it's not sticking and you keep having to put it back up on the wall because it falls down, maybe it's not part of your journey, and there's room there to phase out or evaluate your values, right? Uh, until next time, thank you for watching. You can find out more about us on our YouTube channel, is the most accurate scheduling. And we're also on Facebook, Voxsana.co, and online, Voxsana.co. So, and I don't even know the schedule because I'm not prepared as a producer today. I have to be honest. It was all I could do to get dressed. The kiddos are having fun today. But thank you, Dad, for watching the kids. And I'm so glad everybody joined us and watched along. And feel free to send us your questions and comments anytime, anywhere. Until next time, this is where I play the outro song. Here we go. Extra Slate. All right. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.